Hey YouTube, when there's something strange in the neighbourhood, who are you going to call? That's right, today we're taking a look at the Ghostbusters Ecto-1. Hey guys, and welcome to Brick Talk TV. Terry here, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at this new Ecto-1 car, which is part of the LEGO 18 Plus range. This is set number 10274. This set was released towards the end of 2020 and consists of 2,352 parts and currently retails for £179.99 in the UK. The 2,352 pieces are spread over 12 bags. You begin the build by building the Technic frame base as you do on most vehicles, and it does also include a steering mechanism. You then begin to build up the sides, including the doors and then the engine and then the rear area of the car, before adding windows, the roof and the details on top of the car. So let's flip over now and we'll walk through the various features of this set. So here's the actual set itself then, and as you can see this thing is really big. I mean it was a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be, and I'd recently built the Batmobile before I built this, and so I think it's on scale I think to the Batmobile. The Batmobile is longer and maybe slightly bigger, wider. But this one I think is still commands a really good presence, and I'm going to probably display this next to my Batmobile actually. So I think it will hold its own against that particular car. And just for a way to scale it, I've also got the original LEGO Ideas Ecto-1 here, just to show you the difference in terms of the size. So you can see the original car, and then you can see that this scaled one is a lot bigger. I mean, you will notice the first thing really is that, and there's been a lot of debate I think in the community itself, is whether to put the rust stickers on or not put the rust stickers on. Of course, I've chosen not to put the rust stickers on, mainly because, like a lot of people out there, I think I'd rather keep Ecto-1 in the memory that I had it from the original films rather than the future film that's coming out. And of course, I've not seen the film yet, given COVID going on and delays for it to be broadcast. So there may be a small chance that I will add the rust stickers on after I watch the film. But to be honest, I think I'll probably keep it rust free, because for me that is synonymous with how I remember Ecto-1. So let me just put this small version out the way for a second, and then we'll go on to this build. So as I mentioned, when you're doing the build experience, you start building up from the bottom, and of course most of these kind of cars these days have a Technic frame. So you start building out that Technic frame, and you do start to include some features around the steering mechanism. So inside this door here, which opens up, there is a steering wheel, and it does function so it will rotate the wheels. Hopefully you can, if I get my fat fingers in here, you can see that the wheels do rotate. There is a mechanism. They won't rotate a huge amount. There's a certain amount of leeway that it has in there, which is probably a good thing. But so the steering wheel does really work. And so you can got that in there. There is the ability, of course, as well, if you shut the door, to use this spinner piece at the top here to drive the car. So you don't even need to do the steering wheel itself. It's all fed into the same system, and as you rotate this, the steering wheel itself moves, and so do the wheels. So if you are pushing it along, you can steer it quite easily at the top. So there is some playability there. It's not lost in the fact that it keeps steering off if you're playing along with it, because you've got the ability to control it at the top here. What you will notice as well is if you do push this vehicle along, as the wheels are turning, they're starting to turn these pieces up here around. So let me just show you. So as you go round, the radar is spinning round, the satellite dish, I'm not, looking for ghosts. And then this little gun piece here is rotating as well. So that's a nice little effect they've got going on here, just from pushing it along, which is really nice. A lot of people also point out that the ladder is on the other side. Of course, on this original model here, if I show you this, you can see that the ladder is quite clearly on this side, not on that side. And as you're building that in the book, of course, in the latest film, which we've not seen yet, they do modify this vehicle. And so there is when this door opens up, there is a seat that comes out, which allows whoever's on it to bust some ghosts. So that's the reason why the ladder in the film has been moved over to this side. And of course, because I've said there is a mechanism for this to pop out, you press a button on this side, and this is the seat as it pops out. So the door flings open, and then the seat comes back out. There is also this little lever here that you push back in, just to reset it, and then you can close the door. You do, as you can see, you do build these doors up separately. So these are all brick built. So all of these doors open. So you've got these two here, and then you've got this one this side. There's only one on this side. And if I just rotate the model round, this door here, you can't open. So it's just a fake looking door because there's the mechanism for that pop out seat. I don't know whether that's part of the film as well, that they block this door out. or whether this was just a feature of LEGO just so they can protect the mechanism that pushes the seat out. But these seats are a nice little a little build as well. They're similar to the James Bond build actually in terms of the seats, but it's quite a nice, interesting technique here, especially for attaching the windows, where they use a sort of a gate piece and some clips to clip it into position. And these open up quite wide on this side next to each other. So the doors are a great little addition. Of course, at the back you do have this. You do have the boot, so you can open up the boot quite easily. It does go in at a slant, which is quite nice. So there is a little ghost catcher there on wheels, which is part of a feature of the new film. And what you can do is you can actually release it, and it shoots out at the bottom of the car. So there's a little piece here you pull, and then out comes the ghost trap, and you can see it's on 4 bulky kind of wheels. It's got that synonymous kind of warning sign that sits on top, which used to reminds me of my childhood toy actually, where I used to catch the ghosts and press on a pump pedal that used to open up the doors. So there's a little lever at the bottom there that flips down at the back, and then this thing shoots out of the boot. So you can pull this out, and then you can just push it back, and it pulls the lever back in for you to push it back into the boot. So then that closes up like that. In terms of stickers as well, most of all these Ghostbuster symbols are actually printed tiles or bricks actually. So you don't need to place these ones. You've got no worries about the logo looking straight. But you do have some smaller stickers, as you can see on the roof here, that say warning and danger on some of these little items here as well. And of course, at the front, you've got the Cadillac sign, which goes on the bonnet here. And you do need to make sure that those are kind of coming out level. Of course, there are lots of rust stickers as well, which I've mentioned, which I've not put on, and you do need to stick them on various white bricks as you go through the build. So if you are going to be sticking them on, you do kind of need to make sure they look level, so they don't look too inauthentic. And then also at the front here, if we turn our attention here, there's some the license plates on the front and the rear are stickers as well. So you've got some just normal yellow tiles where you need to put a transparent Ecto-1 sticker on. But then this technique they've used here for this grille at the front is lots of little skates that you put on minifigures' feet. So if you think back to the diner, the waitress in the diner had little red skates on. They've used lots of those in silver to get this effect for the radiator on the front, which I think is a really great technique that they've used there. It's a nice way to use some of those. But that is it takes a while to do that part of the build for me. Lots of little pieces stuck together, but the effect that you get afterwards, I think, is actually really good. So it's well worth the part of the build. And one of the real surprises for me, which I hadn't really counted on, was actually the engine that you can build in here. So this bonnet comes up, and then inside here you've got a really nice detailed engine inside. It's even got some rubber bands that you use to show some fan belts and some various other parts of the engine. You've got the battery that's connected at the front, which actually goes through to the back. Another nice little piece of detail there. And again, there are some stickers in here on some blue tile pieces, just that say Cadillac, which I imagine is what you'd see if you opened up the Cadillac engine. So the level of detail, and this was actually really enjoyable to build this engine in here, was really good. So keep your eye out for that one. Of course, you build the bonnet separately and it clips on, and you've got this nice technique for tiles used there as well. I think this windscreen is a new piece that's unique for this set as well. It's quite a large glass piece here. It's a little flimsy, I think, when I was putting it on. So you need to really push into where the studs are to get it to clip, because otherwise it bends a little bit, at least in my experience. And then as you finish the build up, you actually just focus on the roof and putting all of these level of details on top. So again, this is where lots of stickers are. So you've got to make sure you put the warning symbols on the right place, the danger symbols, make sure things are in the right place so you get all of the rotations going. And then you've got the fun of the pipes and these other wires dangling down. So that was a really good part. I also found it really fascinating how they covered up the wheels at the end using pieces that were stuck to some studs just to cover them up and give you this sort of half appearance of the wheel at the back, which again I thought was a really good level of detail. And then as you sort of finish up on the build, obviously there are some dashboard features where you can stick some stickers, but they do also provide you with this piece here, if I can get to it, which is supposed to be a pack of marshmallow pieces. So there is another sticker, and of course, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You do build this piece here, which I think is like a bag or box of marshmallows, which just sits on the seat, isn't stuck in the stud or anything, but that sits in there as well. So I'd really like maybe if in the future, if they did get round to building a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just to finish off the Firehouse and actually the smaller set, so I could position that in Bricktown actually. And I've seen a few mocks online, and I think there's been a couple of ideas floating around as well, so on the LEGO Ideas site. So maybe one day they'll get round to actually releasing a LEGO built Marshmallow Man to scale with the Firehouse. That would be, or at least, you know, partly to scale. That'd be really interesting to see. So I'm probably going to stick this now on display with the rest of my other cars. So it'll probably go next to my Batmobile. But I really enjoyed this build. It really did come to life. So overall, I really enjoyed this set. I think the first few bags were a little dull, so you get the structure of the car built with the Technic pieces, but that's kind of synonymous with all these kind of vehicles. I think once you get past that, you start layering on the detail, it actually gets a bit more interesting. But so once you start doing the frame and you start adding the various mechanisms that are used in the car, so you start off with the steering one and you add the other details, it really starts to come to life, and it's really enjoyable building, and the set, or the enjoyability of the set, increases as you get further into it. In fact, I found the this set actually slightly more enjoyable than the Batmobile. And I've done a Batmobile review as well, and I'll stick a card here and I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in that one. But particular highlights for me, as I mentioned, include the engine, the roof part, the steering mechanism, and the booster seat that comes out the back. Those mechanisms are really clever, and I didn't even realise I was building the mechanism at the back for the ghost capture to work until I got to the end. So if you've enjoyed the previous LEGO Ideas Ecto-1, then you'll probably love this set, as it sort of scales up the enjoyment of that set, you know, probably 10 times, and it's like it's that set on steroids. I've previously done the other build, as you saw earlier, the other LEGO Ideas Ecto-1. So I did a quick build of that. So I'll also put a card up here and a link in the description below if you're interested to see how that one comes together as well, and you can see the difference in the size. And also what I really enjoyed about this set, this was the first set that I had the instruction manual that wasn't given to me in plastic. So this is the instruction manual that you'll get with your Ecto-1. But actually, you know, usually you get all of the cellophane on top and you rip it open with the stickers. But actually, this is the first one that came in a paper envelope. And you can see it here with the LEGO recycle symbol on here. So actually, I think this was one of their trials in the UK, or in Europe really, to start using some cardboard presentation and wrapping to start giving some of their pieces inside their sets. And I know that they're trialing paper bags as well with some sets this year as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how much plastic LEGO can cut out in terms of all the supporting material that goes into a LEGO set. So I was pleased to see that, and you know, just this did not spoil my enjoyment of the LEGO set. You know, it was nice to actually see this, and actually you can store your manuals in these kind of envelopes for years to come as well. So actually it's probably better that you get this than the plastic, so it stops sun damage and things like that. So full credit to LEGO for doing that as well. But back to this model, you know, it's a large scale. It's really commanding the presence I think that you'll need on the shelf. I'm going to place it against my other vehicles now with the Batmobile, and I think it's going to hold its own, and people will recognise both these vehicles, and this one won't get lost in the attraction of the Batmobile, I'm sure. So I hope you found this run through and this review helpful. If you did, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button with the bell notification turned on to be notified of future reviews we do on other LEGO sets in the future on this channel. And until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then.